Let's try this again. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. The other day I heard a quote. It said, trees don't hang out with grass, even though they both started in the same place. And what that really means to me is sometimes, sometimes you have friends that you start with together, bottom, right here. And as you start growing, sometimes your friends just kind of get stuck here. And I'm here to let you guys know that it's okay. It's okay to leave old friends behind. I know it seems kind of goofy. It might seem like, counterintuitive to what a good friend is. But anybody that's going to bring you down, I mean, honestly, they're not good friends anyway. Now that doesn't mean as you grow, if you're growing together, if you have one or the other that, stumbles throughout that time period, that, you pick them up and bring them with you. But if they're really making no effort to grow, then it's okay to leave them behind. I guess for me, I never really had to make that decision because like 95% of the people that I grew up with are either dead or doing life in prison. So I never really had to make that decision. It's not like I have a bunch of friends that are out, committing crimes continuously and I'm like, oh, I got to leave them behind. Not really. Like I said, most of my friends are locked up forever. So, the only hard decision I had to make was, do I accept their collect calls or write them? And I just don't have time to take calls most of the time. But one of the things that this reminded me of, and I want to kind of share the story with you guys, was a friend that I grew up with. His name's Chad. So I grew up with him probably from like age 6 until, I say 12, maybe, somewhere around 12, 13, maybe 13. And then I moved away and he stayed in the old neighborhood. And then eventually he moved somewhere else. We kind of, we lost track of each other. I went to juvie, I went to prison, and then I got out when I was 30, started living my life. And then about a year ago, well, actually probably about 2 years ago, I started looking for him on Facebook. Just, I was just kind of interested, like what became of him? Where is he at? He was, he was a super kid. We were best friends for a long time, long time. And, yeah, so I went on Facebook. Obviously I started looking for him on Facebook. That's the best place to look for people. Almost everybody's on Facebook. And so I finally found him. And, sorry. So I finally found him. Actually, my wife found him because I was searching. Like, for whatever reason, I couldn't find him. My wife finally found him. And I seen him. I didn't really know if it was him. Obviously multiple people have the same name or whatever. So I just messaged him. I was like, hey, we used to be best friends when we were kids. I haven't seen you in like 30 years. Just curious what you're up to. If you even remember who the fuck I am. And so yeah, he messaged me back. And, he told me that, he had been through some things in life. But he said, yeah, I remember you, sent me his phone number. He said, give me a call. So I called him. And when I called him, he kind of explained what happened. And later on, I read like the newspaper articles and stuff like that. It was all over the news. I seen old news footage and stuff that was online. But anyway, I don't know. I guess he had, fallen into, drinking a lot and was already kind of on a downward spiral. This is my understanding of the story. If I get it wrong and somebody else hears it, I'm sorry if I fuck it up. But, he was kind of on a downward spiral, as far as alcoholism and stuff like that. And, in and out of like the county jail. And he must have got into it with a couple guys. I think it was like 5 or 6 guys jumped him at the bar. And they put him in a coma, and they must have did some brain surgery. The picture that he sent, he literally has like a baseball-sized hole in his head now, which obviously left some brain damage. There was glimpses of my old friend, but he wasn't really all there. So I actually had messaged his sister, and I said, I told her I was, getting my life back together. I was doing really good. I said, in your opinion, is it worth rekindling this friendship that we had, or is he down this wrong path that, where I wouldn't want him around my family? And she said, and she was completely honest with me. She said, to be completely honest, the family doesn't even talk to him much. And if you're trying to get your life together, I would say at this point in time, even though he's my brother, maybe don't, right? And one second. So to be completely honest with you guys, I was kind of taken aback by, what she had said. Because like I said, I was looking for him for years, and I was so excited to, reconnect with an old friend. Like I said, we grew up probably from like 6 till 13. We were like literally best friends, inseparable. I stayed at his house 4 or 5 nights a week sometimes. Literally my best friend. But that was one of the decisions that I had to make to cut somebody out of my life. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where I was like, yes, we were friends in the past, and I was definitely in a position where I could help him. I could give him a job. I could get him an apartment, move him out of the city. I live in a small town now, so I could move him up by me, get him an apartment, get him a job. He could come work with me. So I was definitely in a position to help him, but I had to make a decision at that point. Like, dude, right now I have 0 negative people in my life. Do I want to bring somebody into my life? Not necessarily my life, because if I was single and if I didn't have kids, yeah, all for it. I would have brought them in my life and, probably, did whatever I could do to help them. But with my family, did I want to bring them into my life and take the chance that something negative was going to happen, that, he was going to, that he was going to be on some shit that I wasn't expecting, because I didn't know him for years. Was he going to bring drugs into my house? Was he going to steal from me? Stuff like that. But that's kind of what I mean, you guys, as far as like cutting people out of your lives. Sometimes we got to make these hard decisions, and sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's easy. We often have to make these decisions as we go from grass and we become trees and we start rising up and being better. Sometimes we got to leave the grass behind, right? And the snakes in the fucking grass, you got to leave them behind too. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys continue to stay blessed. I hope you guys continue to follow your journey wherever it's going to take you. Hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys come back. Take care and God bless.